20 years ago, UFOs, or rather flying people who have not been named, the O is quiet, came to Earth. The only thing these aliens, called Wevayans, want is to find someone to marry. All over the place, humans and aliens are flirting, but our main character doesn't agree with any of it. The only thing these aliens, called Wevayans, want is to find someone to marry. All over the place, humans and aliens are flirting, but our main character doesn't agree with any of it. Mitsuyoshi, his friend, tells him that the Wevayans need humans to have babies. They're just here to kiss ass and spread their cheeks while having a wiener park in their garage, he adds. For the next 3 years, they have to live with them. Mitsuyoshi already has a plan to become a harem god. He's going to catch them all so quickly that we might as well call him Ash. Our boy, on the other hand, doesn't want to be a cheap rentero. They are going to the first school for both Earthlings and Wevayans that is a high-class place called Marriage School. Our main character, Gen, says he's here to protect Earth. His grandfather told him that the Wevayans were coming to take over, so he wants to become a powerful leader and send them back to space. Mitsuyoshi tells him to calm down and tells him that all the Wevayans want is love. As payment, they've even fixed all of Earth's problems. Gen, on the other hand, is not sure. He thinks they are planning something. Everyone has to sit with a Wevayan at lunch. Gen is sitting with Milika today. She tries to talk to him, but his answers are as dry as ChatGPT when he's on medicine for severe diarrhea. Our boy told Milika, "Nah, I'm too much of an alpha male," when she tried to feed him. This made her feel terrible. When he saw this, his backbone slid down his anus right away, and he gave up. The girl then asks him to put his meat in her mouth too. Gen imagines himself dressed as Thomas the Train, but he stops himself when he realizes she's just taking advantage of the fact that he keeps V-cards. Milika is puzzled and thinks he's going through an existential crisis. Gen fights back against her advances with all of her strength. He only wants to eat alone. When Milika starts to cry, she says again that no one wants to eat lunch with her. Right then, Mitsuyoshi shows up with some bad advice that he mostly got from hentai. He tells Gen that Milika most likely doesn't like herself and will believe anything he says. This means she's the ideal gland-to-gland combat friend. Milika offers to eat his ass if he starts to like her. After a while, she finally calms down and says she's sorry. She then says she has no friends and is shunned by other Wevayans. She hoped that people on Earth would accept her when she started high school. I felt like I just ran over a puppy when I heard this, so Gen quickly said sorry with his head down and everything. Then Mitsuyoshi comes in and shows that our boy is lying when he says he hates Wevayans, but can't help but wag his penis around like a happy dog waggling its tail when he gets a girl. With a friend like Mitsuyoshi, the real MVP at your side, who needs rivals anyway? Milika questions whether this is true, and his friend, which is a very broad term, says it is. Gen tells her this is true and that he believes Wevayans are a danger to people. Because he doesn't want them to take over and replace humans with Wevayans, he will never date one. Milika hears him out and tells him that being called an enemy breaks her heart because Earth is where she was born and raised. When our boy hears this, he folds over and curls into a fetal position. He then says sorry for hurting her with his ideas and tells her he'd like to talk to her more. But Mitsuyoshi comes in with a straight right hand and calls him a playboy for trying to pick her up after shooting her down. She tells him she likes him and thinks he's great, so she asks if he'll still talk to her. Hearing those words hit our boy right in the soul like a sledgehammer. Mitsuyoshi tells her not to say those things to a virgin because he might pass out and wet his pants to death. Gen starts to foam at the mouth like he just ate a bunch of poison and tells himself that he can't fall in love. He then comes to his senses, but I think he went too far. They took him to the hospital, and now our boy looks like a necromorph from Dead Space. Milika tells him she will fix them with magic, so Mitsuyoshi tells them to stay together because he needs to catch more Wevayans. Milika tells him to take off his clothes so that he can heal faster. She asks Jen if Mitsuyoshi is a childhood friend, but he tells her that he's just his hentai-tamed roommate from high school. After Milika tells Jen that she wants to be friends with them, he asks her if she's interested. He likes her and would like to be friends with her. He keeps saying that, and Milika tells him to stop, or she'll soak her underwear and start blasting milk from her shorts. She gets close to his ear to let him know it's up his head, but it's also up his other head downstairs. She suddenly throws him onto the bed with all her strength and tells him she's about to turn into a water hose and spray him with a huge stream of juice. After that, clothes start to fall off, and it's clear that the money has been lost. Let's just say that her milkers got to go outside and our boy got a milk bag in his hand. At the same time, Mitsuyoshi is trying to get another Weveian. The girl he's with tells him not to leave Jen and Milika together because Milika has a trait that makes her dangerous, so no one gets close to her. When she likes someone, her ultimate cartoon move is to catch fire and burn them. As Jen runs away from Milika, who is on fire, he screams at the top of his voice. Miyazaki's face falls, and it turns out Milika also falls in love quickly. She's a disaster waiting to happen. Some of the students notice that the Human Torch came by, and Jen starts to cry because all he ever wanted to do was play Fortnite and watch some honkers. But he can't even do that without getting a third-degree burn. Milika then says she's sorry for not being able to hold herself back. She says she tried to get someone to love her without liking them back, but that can't work. She always knew she wasn't allowed to love and would have to live and die alone. She would rather not have been born if she has to live that kind of life. Our boy went back in and gave her a hug, telling her everything was okay. After this is over, he'll just have someone fix him. He asked her to be his friend again. Milika broke down in tears and said yes to his offer. She told him that she hoped they could be more than friends one day. Finally, some other kids came in and splashed water on them, which kept our boy from burning up. Then, out of nowhere, someone's right hand flew at Jen, Mitsuyoshi, and accused him of being a liar because he said the Weveians were enemies, but then tried to grab Milika's fun bags. The two began fighting back and forth. Our boy said, "Fuck that." He told Mitsuyoshi to do a backflip and said, "How about you talk to this foot?" Jen had a Ultra Chad Thundercock move that made the other Weveians very interested in him. They wanted to drain his nuts out even more because he's not into Weveians. Woo, all of a sudden, I hated Weveians too. I really hoped they wouldn't try to make me give up. While this was going on, Mitsuyoshi's face was getting worse. A camera was recording the whole thing, and we saw a hot Weveian girl in a birthday suit rocket out into the open, ready to launch, showing that she didn't like what was going on. Suddenly, Jen's art hair shook, letting him know that someone might be watching him. It was the same girl who asked her mother when she could go to school. She was called Kilip-chan by her mom, and she said she should be able to come next week. Kilip was so excited to show the other Weveians how it's done that she had already made her nether lips moist with her juices. Some Weveians began to talk about how nice Jen is. Even though he looked like a high school senior, he was actually a middle-aged man. Jen could feel the stares going through his. I think you get the idea. Then a new opponent showed up and looked down at the other Weveians. Her name is Terla. She's not interested in Jen, because she has animal ears and a real tail, and anime fans are always drooling over her and taking pictures of her to use for their late-night activities. This made our boy happy, and Mitsuyoshi felt bad because Jen had girls lined up to get in his pants with big smiles on their faces, like they were going to Disneyland, and he was getting all of this attention for doing nothing but fucking and sleeping. Milika said that for Weveians, being good at dating is a sign of wealth. So, being able to bag someone who doesn't like Weveians is a huge win for them. Bagging someone like Mitsuyoshi, on the other hand, is like going home with a trash bag covered in hairy-ass grease. In other words, the more fish flaps he turns down, the more they'll come to him. There is no way Jen will give in, though he will not fall wiener first into their vertical lips. All of the Wevayans charged at him in P class like it was a World War Z monster scene, demanding to work with him. Guys were left with nothing but their flaccid wieners and were in a lot of trouble. The Wevayan girls wouldn't give up, and they were all stuck to his behind like he had just sat on a pumpkin. Jen, on the other hand, knew right away that he had to quickly pair up with an Earthling girl. The Wevayan boys already had those girls, though. Jen kept getting pushed around, and he finally asked Terla to pair him up with someone. The news shocked her, and everyone swallowed their own tongues. Jen thought it would be best to pair up with a girl who isn't interested in him. Terla got up and damn, those cheeks are stifling, agreed to go with him, and then she clung to him like a leech while making fun of the other female Wevayans for trying so hard. When class was over, everyone rushed Terla to find out what black magic or deal with Satan she had made. But she said it wasn't that big of a deal and that she had only teamed up with Jen because she felt sorry for him. Then Jen walks right by them at the right time. So, she's going to use this chance to show them how far ahead she is. But our boy just says thank you and walks through. Everyone starts to question, thinking that they made hasty decisions and that Terla may have had him at gunpoint earlier. She gets scared and goes to see Jen. She tells him that if he likes her, he should act like it, because if he doesn't, she'll look like she didn't understand what he meant and feel bad about herself. Our boy tells her he doesn't like her. When Terla heard this, her soul left her body. She says that the fact that he asked her to pair up with him shows that he likes her. Jen says she's sorry she didn't know this, and Terla's brain cells start to break down like a vampire in the sun. After all the making fun of, it was just a mistake. Then she said she'd just get him to love her, and everything would be fine. Then she tells them to follow her, and her best charm will come out. She would rather have a 1,000-degree butt plug stuck up her behind than be turned down and have to live in shame. She told him he could take as many pictures of her as he wanted when they got to the photography club. Jen doesn't understand, so she tells him that people on Earth love girls with animal ears. Jen starts to feel stressed because she got them all wrong the whole time. He then tells them that animal ears are just a weird thing that those cosmic-level jerks like. The world stopped for a moment after she heard this. It looked like she was telling a lie because her face went pale. It would be the same as telling your kid that Santa wasn't real and that all the cookies were eaten by your fat, drunk, jobless uncle. Terla rolled over on her back and started to gag. But Weebs could handle it, just like Gojo fans. She doesn't want facts to change who she is, so she tells him to get a camera and start taking pictures of her. Jen is not with Mitsuyoshi when Milika walks up to him, which surprises her. He tells them that Terla took him away. Milika then tells them that she won't be able to help because Wevayans would never do something as stupid as block someone else's attack. Jen is once again taking shots of Terla, and he starts to have his typical teen identity crisis. He starts to question what the hell he is doing with his life. Terla wants to know if he likes her ears more now. Jen says he thinks they're cute, but he's not going to become a huge fan of animal ears. He is as tough as a steel pipe, though, because he wants to take pictures of cute girls. The idea of taking pictures of women has been brought to our boy's attention, and he will soon be in jail for sneakily photographing women in a bathroom. After the picture shoot is over, Terla lets Jen choose any pose she wants to do. Our boy, whose values are as straight as Willie Nelson, asks her to put on her swimsuit. We can't avoid these scenes, so we'll have to skip this part. It's just intense fan service and has nothing to do with the story, as if the whole book wasn't just fan service. A girl opens the door to their room all of a sudden and then closes it again right away because she can't handle what she is about to see. In this case, they were caught butt naked with their pants down, which made their faces go blank. Jen then tells Terla to stop, but she says that this is her only charm and that if she quits, she will have nothing left to offer. So, our boy, dressed again as a superhero, tells her that he'll find so many nice things about her that she'll get tired of hearing them. She breathes a sigh of relief and tells him that she'll find his charming points in return. She then asks him to pair up with her at lunch tomorrow. Jen said, "No, I'm fine." Our boy says that Jen is busy and has things to do. She knows that being proud of herself won't help, so she tells him that she'll make him fall deeply in love with her. After that, we see a shadowy figure with a scary face looking through their window. She got down to talk to the teacher. This girl went on trips all over the world because her parents had jobs that took them there. She is called Kulip-chan by the teacher when she first comes to school. Our boy comes out of the bathroom. Also, that's not a high school kid, that's a grown man. As soon as he walks by, Terla jumps on him and says that he has a nice body. Jen then says that his grandfather taught him how to kill people when he was very young. Then she gets mad because he said he would tell her about her good qualities but didn't. He is being blamed for lying by her. So, he starts to glaze her by telling her how smooth her skin is, how nice her hair is, and how beautiful her flower-like vaginal smell is. Terla gets red in the face over this. And Milika walks into the scene with tears running down her face because her heart is so broken. He tells her she needs to act fast before Jen falls in love by pulling her strings like a magician. She quickly takes a liking to our boy. Then Mitsuyoshi tells everyone that today they will have a new student from another planet. Her name is Kulip. She introduces herself to the class and then, out of the blue, says that the only reason she came all the way here was to see Jen again. The guys start to throw things at him. They all told him, "You can't keep getting away with this," like in that Breaking Bad scene. When Terla hears this, she goes to war right away and tells Kulip to give up because she will make him give his yogurt shots first. This is what Terla says. Kulip wanted to talk to Jen alone, so she tells them to go to the woods. She just can't hold it any longer and wants to go check on them. But Terla thinks it's weak of her to break the Wevaians' rules. Milika, however, says that she's been turned down because she's in a different class with Jen, and that he'll be taken away before she knows it. Milika and Mitsuyoshi agree to go, and they all end up going to spy on Jen. Our boy is with Kulip, and she tells him he saved her. When they get lost, she tells them that 10 years ago, he stopped a little girl from being raped. Jen's memories start to come back to him like a stream. She tells him that he told her to keep smiling because it made her look better. She knew then that she would keep her V-card forever and have him pop the question. It did leave a scar on Kulip, as he thought. Wevaian's medicine could have fully healed it, but our boy chose to keep it because his grandfather told him that a scar from saving someone is a badge of honor. He then shows her his scar. This moves Kulip, who says she did the same thing with the cloth she used to clean up his blood. Up until now, she had never cleaned it because she used it as a hair tie. It looks like Mikasa has a rival. Seriously, our boy is shocked to the core because this is crazy stuff. When the time comes, she might cut off his balls with scissors and wear them as earrings. Jen starts to blush as she tells him how much she loves him. She tells him not to be shy because she knows everything about him. She has been watching him with a spy camera 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, recording his whole life. She knows everything about him, like the first time he got hair on his balls and his first wet dream. She looks at him all the time. Jen tries to log off of this weird world. The man tells her that they can't be together. When Kulip hears this, he tells him that her life is pretty much pointless without his love. She is ready to do anything to make him love her. She will also send a laser beam from space, powered by the sun, to kill all the women in the world if he is still not in love with her. This will leave him with no choice but to be with her. I don't know what else could be more sweet than that. I really don't want a girl if she wouldn't use brute force to reach the center of the earth and blow it up for me. It starts to smell bad for the 3 girls. Jen tells her not to make fun of something like that. So, she tells him that erasing this world is really her only choice. She will try a more peaceful method by killing one by one the women who are following him around. Their plan to be spies has been hacked. Kulip changes into a Homelander and flies toward them. Jen stops her just in time, though. She does, however, touch his body, and our boy's body falls apart like Woody's does when a person walks into the room. Kulip tells him that she can make anyone she touches have an orgasm. It's something that comes from her family tree. She then runs at Milika and Terla, touching them and telling them they can't be happy with anyone but herself. The two girls start twitching and turning all of a sudden. Our son wants to know, what in the name of God has she done? She had just turned this into a comic with 6 numbers. So, our boy tells her to focus on him and not on anyone else. She says that wouldn't work because then it wouldn't be real love. Jen is adamant and challenges her to do it anyway, saying that a Super Chad winner like him could never lose to some dancers. Kulip tells him not to be so proud, because he'll feel bad about it soon. Then all of a sudden, she turned into a monster and let out all of her power. When she gives him a full-on hug, our boy's whole body starts to shake violently. But he has really strong willpower, so he was able to keep cool. He tells her that he can't love her if he doesn't know anything about her. He asks her to slowly show him what kind of person she is. He says he might have chosen not to fall in love with a Wevan, but he thinks that if he learned more about them, he might start to like them too. Kulip lets go of him and tells him that she knew he would be able to resist her spell because he can't lose. That's why she loves him so much and has to go to war for him. And she will definitely be the one he loves one day. Jen sees that her smile has more warning signs than fish in the sea. When Terla sees this, she jumps in to spank her, but even at the speed of light, it doesn't make a difference. Kulip tells them they can do what they want, but they should know that it will waste their time. They won't give up, though. After that, Mitsuyoshi tells him to use deodorant later because he can smell something bad coming from his behind. Later, at the Weveyan's house, they are having a hidden meeting to talk about Jen, Inukai, who is now seen as the most dangerous. So, they sent one of their elite units to deal with our boy before he turns into a threat to the Weveyans all over the world. They told them to soak their pants so much that the whole world would sink.